What's up, folks? This is Acid Roots, and I'm going to review Master P's Ghetto D project. Now, with this album, it was kind of one of the more paid attention to '90s records. It kind of had like a decent sized explosion in the rap world. I mean, maybe it didn't quite get as large as All Eyes on Me by Tupac or something like that, or Illmatic or one of those records, but it was close. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it went 3 tons platinum, had some memes off of songs like Make 'em Say, The template was definitely copied in a lot of rap albums. The thing with Master P and this project is just the fact that it kind of follows formulas from other rap albums. So some of the people who were big around 1995, 1997, it kind of feels like Tupac, Bone Thugs, a little bit of West Coast and G Funk is kind of in there. So there is some stuff that it feels similarities to, but the difference between it is a lot of the stuff that was kind of popping back in 1993, 94 kind of deviated by the time we got to late 97 where this album came out. So Bone Thugs was kind of doing okay, but I think their double album Art of War underperformed. Tupac had died. Ice Cube was kind of vanishing, so some of those things had kind of taken effect. So the funny thing about this project is just the fact that Master P actually kind of took the forefront himself. And that was kind of the thing with that. I mean, really, the No Limit Records basically took over. It spawned folks like Juvenile, and I think the hook artist, their female hook artist Mercedes, got decently big. Silk the Shocker, some of those cats that were on there, they had names that they were large in 98, 99, 2000. Even Snoop Dogg was on No Limit for a while, but that was kind of the thing. A complaint about Master P is the fact that he kind of it seems like he's kind of a culture vulture, and it is possible for black people to be culture vultures, but um, it's not so much like I have an entire problem. I'm not going to say, oh, well, if Tupac did it first, I'm pissed off with that. It just depends upon the talent that they are able to portray it. And I think that's kind of the thing is with this project, this collective just was not able to hold up. I mean, it's kind of unfair comparing everybody to Tupac, but considering that there is influence, one of the records off of Thug Life, the beat is kind of sampled on like trying to do something. So that's kind of the influence. I mean, Scarface was another one that kind of showed some Tupac influence there. But it just is kind of the laid back. And the thing I like about this project, originally I was going to give this like a 2 or 3 out of 10, but it's going to get a little bit higher a score just because it's a very affable project, and that's kind of the thing. I mean, it's not, even though it knows that it's not like a lyrical genius type stuff. Somehow it has enough personality to kind of say, well, why do people like this if you're not here for lyrics? And the production kind of feels like just hardcore rap only. Well, what's the appeal? And that's kind of the situation. I mean, if you add to that the people who show up with Master P, the guests on here are virtually just not that much to speak of. I mean, that's kind of the thing. That's the truth about No Limit, is just the fact that most of these guys are not lyrical geniuses. I mean, to me, one of the most distinct is Mystical, but I think just depending upon your taste for them, you may like them more. But I mean, it's not. It's kind of. It just happens to be, you know, you just kind of sail through the lyrics. You're kind of listening more to like the hook, in some cases the production better. So, but it still has appeal. That's the thing. It's overstuffed. I feel like 19 songs was too many, but they were trying to give you basically like a touch of everything. Something for, just some of the topic matter. You think of things like Plan B, Weed and Money, Bourbons and Lax, uh, Eyes on Your Enemies, We Riders, I Miss My Homies. I mean, it has like a very good song selection as far as topics that actually are covered. It just is the fact that the approach to it is just so pedestrian, and that's about the only thing. That's what you have to understand about this project is it's very pedestrian, but it does have a certain taste. I mean, it doesn't lack taste. It just is pedestrian, so it's kind of something that you wouldn't expect to kind of mesh. And that's kind of, that's why I like it. I used to listen to this album somewhat regularly, like 5, almost 6 years ago, but I kind of forgot about it. And reflecting on it again, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of. I feel like this is almost a decent substitute for Tupac. And it's difficult to say that just because Tupac has, so much more skill. But just in terms, if you're just like, hey, I've got to go about my daily life, I don't need something that has to, shell shock me in lyrics every single day. I mean, this is exactly the kind of rider music, homie music, and, somewhat party music, 40-ounce music that you would expect. This is so lazy, has drawl, and it kind of has like taste. So that's just that's the main thing about it that I think you need to pay attention to. So uh, in terms of that, there are actually some songs. I'll talk about the singles before I get into the songs you should probably listen to. So I Miss My Homies was the first single. It has kind of a quiet and off to the side appearance by Pimp C, who he's been dead for several years, but I really hated the beat on this project. I wish it would have been a little bit more pronounced. I mean, I like the topic. I definitely think it's relatable, just with how many people who have to realize, broken relationships for whatever reason. This is kind of a song designated to that, and it's a good idea, especially for '97 when that stuff was happening. But it's disappointing just the execution of it, and that's kind of the thing. So I didn't like either of the singles on this album. There were two of them. Originally, I thought that there were three, but there's only two. Make 'em Say is a rather lackluster song. Doesn't really have anything going for it other than like the memes that kind of generated from this song. Folks were doing that, the way Master P did that, it was kind of a distinction as far as him. And it's kind of shameful that, one of his most distinct songs is crap. So, I mean, bad production and this poor placement together as far as a song. It really, uh, I think honestly, maybe it's one of those songs that just sticks together because it doesn't stick together. But it's not so much like the meme worthy of this appeal that I would have liked as much as whether or not it would have been on a better song. Like if Make 'Em Say would have been on Eyes on Your Enemies, I probably would have enjoyed it. But it just, thumbs down. So, but then to talk about, out of 19 songs, I actually wound up liking 7. So I'll go through a few of those. Well, these are the 7 that I recommend to you. So Eyes on Your Enemies, Plan B, Weed and Money, Going Through Some Things, Pass Me the Green, We Riders, and Stop Hating. So to talk about a few of these, Plan B is clever. That has a pretty laid back beat. A lot of this is just hardcore rap production. It doesn't really have like anything crossover like California Love by Tupac or something of that variation. The singles are trash. So, getting into the meat of this project, it's one of those albums where you're just going to buy it. So the social score is not going to be as high, but you just kind of buy it just because maybe you're just looking for rap that's different from what it is. It's difficult to describe if you're not a fan of Master P how you would go about getting this project. I mean, it's basically just something to try, like I was saying, as an alternative to Tupac that kind of has that same aesthetic, but is not quite him. And to someone like that, something like UGK, one of those cats that kind of feels more like a soldier, more so than just like a street soldier, something like that. So that's kind of where I've gotten from it. I really do see the similarities between Master P and Tupac, but it just is difficult to kind of see too many other similarities. I would almost say, that's kind of why Snoop Dogg messed with them, and so maybe not entirely, but it's Snoop Dogg did affiliate with him. So It's kind of the main thing there. So this really above average cat hardcore rap, but in terms of casual, it may not be that easy to listen. So that's the thing, especially considering that the singles are really not that terrific. But that's the main thing. That's what you're going in for. So a lot of these, I mean, I felt like the best beat on here was either Eyes on Your Enemies or Going Through Some Things, both of which had great topics. Just kind of have that lackadaisical feel. I mean, especially in like these coronavirus times, it just feels like cruising in your car, something like that, going through the neighborhood, depending upon what you do. It feels just so lazy. It has appeal to it. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna give this album basically like a 4.5 out of 10, just because I was disappointed by the singles, even though they both had decent song topics and uh, attempts. It just was the fact that the production was so bad and the song formatting was so bad, just to be able to kind of say that. So if the singles suck on an album, that really comes down to you just have to say you're just listening to it for the album cuts, and you kind of have to pick and choose this on your own. Back in the day, I just would have went right for the smoking and drinking songs, the cruising songs, that sort of stuff. But there's really not that many good ladies tracks either. The Gangstas Need Love, I forgot to talk about that. That's really another subpar song. And, considering that he has similarities to some of these street soldiers, I would have thought that he would have had a better execution of that. But at least on this album, it didn't work that well. Felt kind of lopsided. So, uh, yeah, as far as that went, I mean, really, it just happens to be kind of for collector's sake, hardcore rap, but it just comes down to the songs that you find to be personally best more so than public consumption of what's best. So that's kind of what detracts from the score as far as saying, like it's just agreed upon that these are the best, but, whatever. So, but yeah, that's basically it, 4.5 out of 10. Decent little album, but, it had some misconceptions.